Boston with one shield type behind thinks about investing in Cacnea. Opts not to. Cacnea survives on fractional HP. The opponent makes a very nice catch onto a Azumarill, or so you might think, but this is the Shadow Cacturne show. Cacturne enters the arena. Trainer, have mercy on your Pokemon. This is only going to end one way. The opponent looking to play the inevitable out. Boston says, if you want that work, trainer, you better believe I'm about to give it to you. Cacturne over farms, fires off the Trailblaze, down goes Azumarill, back out. Comes Greninja and is very quickly about to meet the same fate, straight in and straight out. Welcome back to the channel. Your boy Jamie Finn is out here uploading videos on 2 consecutive days when I'm struggling to find motivation to make content. How do you get me back posting? Well, you send me some absolute shenanigans. And look at the team we're showcasing today. Where do I even start with this one? I guess a good place to start is saying it is a very glassy triple shadow team. I was going to say a poison double dark team. However, Cacnea is actually a mono grass type, despite effectively doing the same thing Cacturne does without its dark subtyping. If you're wondering just how glassy this team is, the only Pokemon that can even argue it's got a sliver of bulk is Skuntank. And that's got a similar stat product distribution to Pokemon such as Sableye and Swampert, where most trainers run these Pokemon in their shadow form. They're saving it both protect shields. However, our back 2 cactuses are hella glassy. Both Cacnea and Cacturne have ridiculous attack stats, higher than Pokemon such as Lucario, Sneasler, and even the new kid on the block, Murkrow. Cacnea is actually so bloody spicy, it doesn't even feature in PvPoke's rankings. Today's battles have been sent into the channel by the GOAT, a person that needs no introduction, the one and only Xboston. I've yapped as always for far too long, so without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, Xboston sees some Shadow and Shadow Crawl with Skuntank into Typhlosion. Very nice to catch the fire type on the lead. Boston stays in, throws 7 poison jabs and the Trailblaze. Trailblaze is resisted, but Typhlosion uses essentially shield everything. Boston forced that protect shield, gets off some boosted poison jab damage, potentially putting this Typhlosion in a range where 2 Sucker Punches knock out. And if that's the case, we're not going to take the Incinerate damage. Cacturne able to farm down. Out comes Primeape. We see the pivot into Cacnea. The opponent goes for the classic U-switch, I-switch, potentially giving us a fighting chance here. Cacnea wastes no time, fires off the Brick Break. That does hit for neutral, but more importantly, debuffs their defense. Boston recognizes Wincon, is completely sacked Cacnea, send out Cacturne, and look to get some energy together. Boston gonna be invested 1 protect shield, looking to farm down before the next air cut has reached. Cacturne does not let us down, able to get that job done. Back out comes Primeape, but Primeape, you sir, are in big trouble. Trailblaze forces the opponent's final protect shield. The opponent goes straight for the Rage Fist bait. But let me tell you something, Primeape, no bait is ever saving your fate. The boosted Dynamic Punch, easy 1-hit KO, and we're able to take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Trevenant, the entire team does pretty good into this. Skuntank going to completely all the moveset. To be honest, Cacnea is the only Pokemon it can hit for neutral with that Shadow Ball. The opponent fire off the Shadow Ball onto Skuntank. We see the aggressive pivot into Cacnea. Cacnea able to farm down before any charge moves reached. Out comes Morpeko. Morpeko going to be greeted with the Brick Break. Brick Break not only super effective, but also debuffs their defense. So this is only a Psychic Fangs, which is non-stab, but at 40%. Cacnea gets one-shot vanquished, back to its Pokeball. Undeterred, Boston sends back out Skuntank, fires off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent is going to have to dump some energy. As they're debuffed, Cacturne should be able to farm down before any charge moves reached. What's going to beat Cacturne up 2 shields? Well, I guess quite a few things. Does the opponent have one of them threats? We're about to find out. Trainer, Azumarill is not the answer you are looking for. This game is over. Barring Boston having a heart attack, Azumarill is never ever reaching 3 charge moves. Boston reaches the boosted Trailblaze. Only hits a nice hi Azumarill, bye Azumarill. Move yourself from my screen, and we're off to a 2-0 start. Heading into the next battle. Speaking of Azumarill, this time we see it in the lead position. The opponent safe switch into Furret, and they are completely core broken by Skuntank. Skuntank gonna fire off the Crunch. Crunch gets little respect, and Furret gets rocked deep into the red health range. Furret fires off the Trailblaze, which is a massive potato play on their part. Whilst it does boost up their attack, the Sucker Punches were resisted. What they should have done is went for back-to-back Swifts, but Boston not going to complain. Out comes Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn also gets rocked with the crunch. Skuntank absolutely popping off in this battle. Starting to run through the opponent's team. Boston elects to let it go down. Keeps 2 shields intact. And Cacnea enters the arena. Cacnea wastes no time. Fires off the Brick Break on the CMP tie. Winning CMP and forcing the first protection of the game. This is only a resisted power whip. How much does it do? Ouch. Like 60%. The opponent then pivots into a Azumarill. And here comes Cacturne. Trainer. GG's, buddy. Move on to the next one. The opponent fire off the Ice Beam. Boston gonna overfarm, fire off the Trailblaze at good timing. The opponent has to let the first one go, recognizing the next will do more damage. However, they're unable to tank the non-boosted one. They're gonna get Sucker Punch farmed down, and we will be emerging victorious. In the next battle, we see somewhat of a tricky lead. Oh my gosh, look at this bullet punch damage. Boston gonna invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Night Slash. Just about reached the Brick Break, which likely forced our Protect Shield back, as Scizors love to shield everything. We do debuff their defense, but I still think we're going to get unable to Sucker Punch farm down before a Night Slash is reached. Boston actually sends out Skuntank, looking to use it as the damage sponge. A Skuntank should fully wall the moveset, unless on the off chance they've got X's or Iron Head. We tank the Trailblaze, get a massive double resisted. No! I was going to say Poison Jab farm down. We then got sniped by a Mud Slap. Out comes Cradily. Do we still have a chance here? Let's see. Boston fires off the Dynamic Punch, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We're going to match Protect Shields here, so I guess we've got to throw 6 in the Dynamic Punch to maximise farm. Boston only opts for 5, but we're getting outpaced to the Body Slam regardless. Do we survive a Body Slam? Probably not. I'm going to say probably not. Definitely not. Oh, they be a Water Pulse us as well. How bloody rude, man. Heading into the next battle. We see a very cool flex from the opponent. A shiny Galarian Zapdos. Nice to catch it in the lead, as our back 2 Pokemon are going to be terrified of this thing. We fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forces the Protect Shield. I think we've got a match, to be honest. Oh, I thought we was going to no-shield. Boston does invest the Protect Shield. No, they get the boost as well. That means we're going to be unable to Poison Jab farm down. We throw the Trailblaze. The opponent goes all in on Zapdos. We send out Cacnea. Cacnea able to snipe. And the opponent now has no shields to hide behind. Out comes Greninja, which is by no means a good response. But they are able to outpace the Night Slash. Do we survive a Night Slash? Oh my gosh, 1 HP and a Dream Baby. The opponent makes a very nice catch. Or so they'd think, catching the Brick Break onto a Azumarill. But this is now the Shadow Cacturne show. Trainer, you should be reaching for that top left. Have some mercy on your Pokemon. Cacnea going to be investing in Protect Shield, blocking up the play rough. Boston going to overfarm, fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze going to be monstrous overkill onto the bulky Azumarill. Greninja nowhere near as bulky and very quickly going to be straight in and straight out as Cacturne sweeps the back line. GG's and thanks for playing. Another very, very quick battle there. Heading into the next battle. We lead Shadow Skuntank into Greninja. Are we going to pivot? I guess not, as the Poison Jabs at least hit for neutral and a lot of neutral damage at that. Skuntank can survive a Hydro Cannon, not well. But I guess we tanked it regardless. We then see the pivot into Cactus that we've already seen doesn't tank a Night Slash well whatsoever. Night Slash does almost all our HP. Out comes Togekiss. This is a loss. Fuck my life. This is going to be a very, very harsh beatdown. Boston fires off the Trailblaze. The opponent can shield. Even if they shield, we're still fucked. Boston now sends out Cacturne. Cacturne getting absolutely eaten alive. Boston has 2 shields intact. Recognise he literally can't win the match. Aura Spear, massive overkill. And we're going to move swiftly on. In the next battle, we see the annoying Marshmallow, Wigglytuff in the lead position. We need to keep alignment at all costs. The opponent save switch into Toedscrawl. So this is obviously going to be some degenerate double Mud Slap team. Boston shield. Shield Boston. Oh god, we give the opponent the opportunity to take switch. If they shield, we're going to lose by alignment. Oh no. Oh no. Boston! Perhaps I'm underestimating Cacnea. Can Cacnea beat a Wigglytuff? I'm going to say probably not, because I've never seen really this Pokemon in action. Who actually has? But let's see what Cacnea can do. Cacnea shields up the wrap, and annoyingly is now debuffed. We do get a massive Sucker Punch farm down. Oh man. If we get a shield, maybe we can Trailblaze the second ground type. Boston goes for the Wham Bam combo play. It fires off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze. Force to the shield. Is it not a double Mud Slap team? Perhaps I'm wrong. Boston invests the Protect Shield, blocking up the Icy Wind. What is that third? Ooh, Dedenne, we've definitely got a chance here. Boston fires off the Trailblaze. It is back to neutral. We boosted our attack. They debuffed us. The opponent is going to throw a charge move, and it's going to be a race. Does Cacnea have energy? Yes, we do. Let's go, Cacnea. Let's go, little buddy. Boston, reach the brick break. Yes, it's resisted, but we don't give a shit, and we take that game. I feel like every time I shoutcast Boston's battles, I always get demonetized as my potty mouth gets the better of me, but I don't care. Heading into the next battle, we saw another Marshmallow in the lead position. The opponent say switch into Jellicent. Boston sends out Cacturne. This time he is going to invest the protection because Cacturne can't tank a move to save its life. We get the full Sucker Punch farm down and leave with a boatload of energy. Back out comes the Marshmallow. That charm did ridiculous damage. The first Trailblaze forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. Boston gonna fire off the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch, almost a one-hit KO. Wigglytuff just about able to hang on. Skuntank re-enters the arena, able to Poison Jab farm down before the opponent reaches a charge move, and out comes Bastiodon. No, tell me we're not going to lose to Wallface. Boston fires off the Crunch that nowadays only has a 10% chance of a debuff, and no debuff does come through. We have got Brick Break on Cacnea. Depends how well we tank these Smackdowns, I reckon. Oh my god, not particularly well. Oof, we throw an alignment. I still think we're reaching 2 charge moves before we get fully Smackdown farmed down. The opponent tanked the first Brick Break. Cacnea, believe it or not, is about to be a Bastiodon counter confirmed. The opponent should be committing to the fast move beatdown. Instead, we fast move beat them down and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we've got Shadow and Shadow Crime, and this one is going to be a blink and you miss it, fast move beatdown. Of course, Dragon Breath doesn't do as much damage as it used to, but still was doing a lot. Boston attempted a Thunder Punch catch onto Cacnea, catch attempt unsuccessful. Why would you Thunder Punch? Unless they've got Dragon Claw? Super Power Thunder Punch costs the same, so you may as well throw the move that at least hits for neutral. In comes Cradilly. Cradilly didn't appreciate the Brick Break, but still able to fully acid farm us down. Cradilly exited with a charge move. We're going to send out Skuntank and I imagine use it as the damage sponge. Boston does exactly that. Rock Tomb removes us from the field of play, and it's a one-shield Cacturne versus the world. Back out comes Dragonite, and it's now going to be an unshielded Cacturne versus the world, and things are starting to look dire. Out comes Azumarill. Unfortunately, down 2 shields. That one is going to be a loss, and heartbreakingly, Boston is going to concede the match. In the next battle, we've got yet more Shadow and Shadow Crime. I wonder if the opponent has entered the wrong league, as Exegil is definitely a Pokemon you're more commonly going to see in the Fantasy Cup. Out comes Togekiss. Very, very nice to bait this thing out so Cacturne doesn't have to see it. So Boston's team working as intended. Skuntank re-enters the arena. Togekiss going to fire off the Aura Spear. Ouch, that hurt, but Skuntank still able to Poison Jab farm down, and we are spamming the switch. Exegil temporary returns. The opponent pivots into a Azumarill, and in their 2-shield, Boston is looking golden. We waste no time, fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded from here. I think we've got a very simple win con. Just use our shield and tap, 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 and look to fast move beat down the remainder of the team. Exegil is far too low to reach back-to-back moves. Boston going to opt to fire off the Trailblaze. If the opponent's smart, they'll let this go. They actually invest the Protect Shield. We throw an alignment. They're going to throw an alignment, but regardless, 1 or 2 more Sucker Punches is going to be all she wrote, and Boston will be emerging victorious. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Skuntank into Drifblim. Despite us being a dark type, we've arguably got 2 better responses in the back. Of course, we're operating as a poison type attacker, at least for our quick move. That is resisted by the Ghost typing, where we've got 2 Sucker Punch used in the back. We force a Protect Shield. I imagine we tank a charge move, then look to pivot. It's sometimes funny how typings work in Pokemon Go. Our Grass type is going to do better into the Flyer than our Poison type did into the Ghost type, or something like that. I've managed to bamboozle myself. We shield up the Icy Wind. The opponent not wish to concede a farm down. Send out Carbink. We're going to fire off the Brick Break. I think we're only reaching 1 move, so I'd probably throw the Trailblaze. Brick Break wasn't unshielded, so Trailblaze probably would have been more optimal players. It would have done objectively more damage. We've now found ourselves in somewhat of a tricky spot, to be honest. We have debuffed their defense, but these Sucker Punches are resisted and barely leaving a dent. If the opponent shield our Trailblaze, I think we're in trouble. Boston goes straight for the Trailblaze, and we really need this to go unshielded. Trailblaze, bang, there it is. Does remove them from the field of play, and out comes Superior. Boston going to fire off the Dynamic Punch, likely forcing the final Protect Shield. We're going to need to make a catch. Boston goes for the catch. Catch attempt unsuccessful. Out comes Drifblim. I think here we should Trailblaze, because Trailblaze would vamp up our attack and would knock out from this range. Back out comes Superior. No, if we Trailblazed it, we definitely would have boosted Poison Jab, farm them down. Unfortunately, they in turn Vine Whip farm us down, and that one does end in heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see the Dene in the lead position. The opponent says no thank you, save switch into Big Man Blastoise. Boston farms up, makes the Hydro Cannon catch onto Cacturne, where it is supposed to be resisted. Ouch, that didn't look resisted to me. Is Boston going to invest in Cacturne? He's thinking about it last second, elects to completely sacrifice it to the Pokegods. And Big Man Blastoise is a Cacturne counter confirmed. Skuntank re-enters the arena, going to fire off 4 Poison Jabs and the Trailblaze. Not only super effective, but also raising our attack. The opponent invests a Protect Shield. Boston here can more than happily match and leave boosted with residual energy good to go. Boston does exactly that. Out comes Cradilly. Boston once again going to fire off the Trailblazer. Hits for neutral, vamps up our attack once again. This Cradilly's actually switch locked. The opponent did save Blastoise on fractional HP rather than concede a farm down. But I think Skuntank is still looking primed to sweep. Here Boston could have overfarmed, but he's going to fire off the crunch. And I think overfarming was kind of key, because we're now no longer going to be able to outpace this to Dene. We attempt to catch the opponent. I'm not entirely sure what they did there. They just went for the classic U-switch, I-switch for no reason whatsoever. Cacnea fires off the Brick Break on the CMP tie. The opponent needed to overfarm. They did not. Play rough, picks up the one-hit KO. We Poison Jab farm down and take that game. In the next battle, awfully, Boston, get yourself out of here. He does exactly that. He pivots into Cacnea, says, Cacnea, do something. Out comes Corviknight. By no means a good matchup, but not as bad as you might think. The sand attacks are resisted. Brick Break hits for neutral and also debuffs their defense. Is Boston going to fight for switch? No, he's not. The opponent fire off the air cutter, get the boost. Of course they get the boost. Why bloody not? In reality, that boost doesn't do much of anything. Even if they weren't boosted, we were definitely shielding that air cutter, and it's not like the sand attacks did much. Boston goes to one shield. Full Sucker Punch farm down. Out comes the Steel Penguin. It's instantly greeted with the Trailblaze. Trailblaze forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. Boston farms up, makes the catch onto Skuntank. We're just going to get Mudslap farm down now, right? Or not. The opponent stays in. They've got to let this go and just farm us down. No, the opponent's gifting us a wink on. All we've got to do is shield, farm down, leave with a charge move, and we are off to the races. The Penguin might have rebanked the charge move, but they're not going to win CMP. Boston able to get the farm down, leaving with the Dynamic Punch. Cacturne dwarfs Empoleon's attack stat by around 20. It's quite absurd, to be honest, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Fortress in the lead position. If this thing was on Bug Bite, I imagine we'd instantly top left. Thankfully, we're on Volt Switch. So our backline doesn't actually do too bad into this thing. Despite them being a bug type, they're going to have a bug type coverage. Quite surprised to see Boston not pivot out to one of our grass types. Boston actually completely sacrifices Skuntank as the opponent full sent an Earthquake. Out comes Altaria, and things are starting to look rough. Brick Break won't do much of anything, but does debuff, and Boston then pivots into Cacturne, where he's getting same type attack bonus on these Sucker Punches. Potentially we can one shield and fully farm down. Is that possible? Boston actually chooses to go for the Trailblaze and just looks to vamp up his attack. Trailblaze goes unshielded. Not quite a one-hit KO, but able to Sucker Punch farm down afterwards. Back out comes Fortress. Boston, last second, invests the Protect Shield, blocking up the Rock Tomb, which returns our attack to neutral. Boston overfarms, fires off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded, removing them from the field of play, and out comes Big Man Blastoise. Boston gonna farm up, throw the Trailblaze at suboptimal timing. Trailblaze forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent leaves with a charge move. Do we survive this? Yes, 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 yes. No! They outpace. Fuck my life. This one gonna end in heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. There's probably a wink on there somewhere, but much easier to say that after looking at the battle back as opposed to playing it live. I guess we could have tried to Sucker Punch farm down that Fortress. Boston threw 5 Sucker Punches. For him to get the farm down, we would need the next one to be lethal. In the next battle, we see Mandibuzz in the lead. Bloody hell, nice to catch it in the lead. As the back line going to get torn to shreds by the air slashes. Boston tanks the aerial ace, fires off yet another Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded. And we do manage to neutralise this threat and win in the zero shield scenario. Out comes Cresselia. Certainly a Pokemon that our team loves to see. We send out Cacturne, look to make a potential Moonblast catch onto Cacnea. Ouch. We near get one shot. We even get our attack drop too, but in the 2-shield Boston, it should be looking fine. Cacturne re-enters the arena. One Sucker Punch and the Trailblaze. The opponent shields the first, and the boosted Sucker Punch is now doing crazy damage. So if is resisted, I'd probably consider shielding as potentially... There's no shot we get double resisted, so I could cut farm down right. Cresselia re-enters the arena. We're going to fire off the Trailblaze. Surely you don't get Psycho Cut farm down. Oh, the opponent doesn't even use their final shield, so I guess we're never going to know, and Boston takes that game. And that is going to be the end of set number 3, where, believe it or not, that is 3 consecutive positive sets for this absolute crazy team. Heading into the final battle, there is a bonus battle, so I dread to think the shenanigans we've got in store. Trailblaze, oh my god, goes unshielded. The opponent an absolute savage. Boston now going to go for the one shield and look for the poison jab farm down. Unless the opponent pivots out, they stay in. Eventually make the pivot, or we're going to get sniped. But not before a boosted Trailblaze has reached, forcing our Protect shield back. Boston able to save Skuntank as the 3rd shield and makes the pivot into Cacnea. Hopefully this isn't a rock slide. Oh my god. Poor old Cacnea, straight in and straight out. Out comes Cacturne. The opponent's already rock-slided once, so I imagine we invest the protection. They're only reaching one move. Why would you bait? The opponent falls in the rock slide. We Sucker Punch farm down. The opponent sends out Cradilly, and we are just forcing the Dynamic Punch. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. They near get one shot. The opponent pivots into Talonflame. Talonflame gets Sucker Punch farm down. Cradilly gets Sucker Punch farm down as well, and we take that game. And that's just about going to wrap things up for today's showcase. As always, when Xboston is featured in the battles, you know you're in for a banger. That was an absolute roller coaster from start to finish. Xboston, you sir, as always, I take my hat off to you. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if, like Boston, you'd like your battles featured on my channel. My battle submission form is linked down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.